Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Monday morning. I hope you're having a good start to the week wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. Thank you, as always, for joining me. And you should be having a good start to the week because the season started. Arsenal have won. They've won at Old Trafford. 3 points on the board ahead of the game against Leeds next weekend. Was it a great performance? No, it wasn't. Was it a brilliant result? It was a fantastic result. Any win at Old Trafford is a fantastic result. We've had enough difficult games at that place. We've gone there, we've played well, we've lost so many times. So I tell you what, I will take it all day long to go there, play pretty badly, walk away with a clean sheet, 3 points. Thank you very much. Sorry, Man United. Sorry, Ruben Amorim. Complain about a foul all you want. It was never a foul. It was just weak goalkeeping. And it was 3 beautiful points for Arsenal. So we should all be in a pretty decent mood this morning. I'm going to talk about that game. Obviously, I did my sort of immediate reaction show after the full-time whistle yesterday. So I'm going to go over it a little bit more in depth. Look what you guys have been saying. As always, look at what Mikel Arteta has been saying after the game. Run through my player ratings. I have changed them a little bit, I have to say. I've reflected on them a little bit more. Change them a little bit. So we'll go over those a little bit later on in the show and plenty other bits and pieces to get stuck into. But before we get into the game, just a little bit of housekeeping, if you want to call it that. The Arsenal shirt competition that I've been running for my Inside Arsenal Patreon members to celebrate the start of the new season and to thank them for the support they've given. The winners have been drawn. I was just going to give away one shirt, but because so many of you entered and give me so much support in the build-up to the new season, I decided to give away 3 shirts. So there's been 3 winners, and I've contacted you all. You've all got back to me, so I will now announce the winners. They are, and apologies if I get this pronunciation wrong, Jappy Hamakawa, who's from Zambia, and he has asked me he says, I've got lots of followers over in Zambia who support the channel. And he says, can you give a big shout out to the Z Gunners from Zambia? They would love it. So there you go. There's a shout out. Z Gunners, thank you for watching. And everyone in Zambia who watches, thank you very much. And congratulations, Jappy. A shirt will be winging its way to you very soon. And 2 other winners who have already been notified, Gareth Stringer, not sure, and Daniel Peake. So those are the 3 winners. Congratulations to you, Jappy, Gareth, and Daniel. I will get things sorted this week, get them sent out. They'll probably come here, then I'll send them out to you individually. So it'll probably take a little bit of time, but trust me, I'm on it. Well done. Congratulations. New Arsenal shirts winging their way to you. So that's a nice start to this season for you, isn't it? 3 points at Old Trafford. Nice new Arsenal shirt coming. Not the worst start to the week. So thank you very much for everyone who and had loads of entries for that competition as well. So thank you very much for that. Right, let's talk about yesterday's game, shall we? 1-0 to the Arsenal scoreline we all love, and made even sweeter when a result like that comes at Old Trafford as well. A ground, like I said, where we've had so many horrible results over the years. It's so tough to win there for Arsenal for whatever reason. Even when United have been awful, Arsenal have struggled there at times. But they got the 3 points yesterday, which is the absolute perfect start to the season. It's a brilliant result. It is a brilliant result. I mean, look, I said it in yesterday's show. It wasn't a good performance from Arsenal. They didn't play very well. They were sloppy. They gave the ball away far too often. I think their pass completion rate was 75% yesterday. Last season's average was like 86. I think it's the lowest pass completion rate they've had in a game since the 2-2 draw at Man City at the start of last season when Trossard got sent off in the first half. And in the second half, Arsenal were just booting the ball to no one just to clear their lines, which made that understandable, such a low pass completion rate. But yesterday, they didn't have such a reason for it. It was just they were really, really poor in possession. And obviously going to have to massively improve on that. And I'm sure they will. Look, we saw last week Arsenal played very, very well against Athletic Club in the Emirates Cup at the Emirates. So, I'm not looking at yesterday and overly worried about the performance because I know Arsenal are going to play an awful lot better than that. And they're going to play a lot better in attack than they did last night. Yesterday was just about winning. Go to Old Trafford, opening day of the season, a buoyant Old Trafford after they've spent 200 million on a new attack. You could hear the atmosphere. The crowd were all up for it. They really wanted to start the season well. It was always going to be a very tough afternoon for Arsenal. So it was just about getting a win. And they absolutely did that. Calafiori getting a goal. Definitely not the hardest goal he's going to have to ever score. And then the second half was all about just sort of protecting that lead. And they protected it very well, you know. I mean, you'd read the reports this morning and you'd turn on Sky Sports News and you'd watch all the analysis and you'd think that Manchester United was this unbelievable team who battered Arsenal left, right, and centre and absolutely, somehow didn't score a goal. I mean, it just wasn't like that at all. Arsenal were very, very comfortable in that second half, apart from the Mbuemo header, which was a comfortable save for Raya, although he made it look pretty spectacular. It was a save he should have made. Apart from that, United didn't have any big chances. Arsenal comfortably held them at bay in that second half, even if it was a bit nervy watch it on because United had so much of the ball and so much of the territory, but they never really did anything with it. It was a comfortable second half. The first half was poor for Arsenal, no doubt about that. They left far too much space. The centre-backs, who were so good, looked nervy. The full-backs were being isolated one-on-one, and there was an awful lot of space for Manchester United to exploit. But they sorted that out at half-time, and they played much, much better in the second half. So I'm not overly concerned with the performance because I do just think it was a day when nothing really clicked. I mean, when you look at what Arteta said it afterwards, I mean, this is just a stats from the game, and it was, United 22 shots to 9, 7 on target to 3 for Arsenal. XG, United just about shading it over Arsenal. But you can see, 22 shots and you've got an XG of, just over 1.5. It shows the quality of chances you were creating weren't great. Arsenal kept them at bay pretty well. Arteta was speaking about it after the game. And he said, big result coming in the first game of the season at Old Trafford. When you feel that they are building something special, momentum with a new signing, they want to kick on in a season in a good way, and you're able to come away with a win. I'm very happy and proud of the team on winning despite not playing, very well. He says, well, that gives you certainly momentum and confidence, two very important things, because you know that when your standards in certain aspects, which we weren't today, being fair, we can still come away and find a way to win a game. And the team is to find that resilience throughout the season for 10 months in different contexts to be able to do that. Of course, we have to improve a lot of things, and that will happen very soon. But in terms of managing to get into a very positive result, that's a great way of doing it. And the thing with Arsenal in this game, a team who are much better at transition than Arsenal would have scored 3 or 4 goals yesterday. A team who are used to playing that way. If Liverpool get the chances that Arsenal had on the counter-attack yesterday, they put Manchester United away comfortably. But this is a new way of playing for Arsenal, and the situations they found themselves in yesterday. I mean, there's a clip doing the rounds of Arsenal playing on the transition and the counter-attack moments they had. Is 6 or 7 unbelievable moments when they were, through beyond the Man United midfield and just running at the defence. 3 on 3, 4 on 4, 4 on 3. There was about 6 or 7 situations, and not one ended with a shot on goal, which is just ridiculous given the positions Arsenal put themselves in. A team like Liverpool, who are so good playing that way, would have scored 4 or 5 goals. For Arsenal, this is something they're going to have to adjust. If this is how they're going to play, if they're going to play this very sort of vertical running style, beat the lines and just go, which is so different. We're so used to the Arsenal sideways passing, the horseshoe, whatever you want to call it, that slow build up that a lot of us get frustrated by, but it is the way Arsenal play. It's the way they've played for the last couple of years. They're going to play very different and be this counter-attacking transition team to try and play to Victor Gyökeres' strengths. It is going to take time to adjust to. There's no doubt about that. And I'm absolutely sure if Arsenal find themselves in the positions they found themselves in at Old Trafford, in a month's time, in another game, they'll be far better at taking those chances away because they are going to have to improve. I mean, there were so many times when Arsenal were running through at the defence and everyone was so narrow. You had sort of Gyökeres there, but then Martinelli and Saka were so close to him. They didn't really stretch the pitch at all. So it was really tough to sort of find a run and find someone, finally say Gyökeres in space because everyone was really squeezed together. So I think Arsenal are going to have to improve on that. Sort of how the wingers do, how they create the space, all that sort of stuff they're going to have to improve on. Mikel was asked about the decision-making in the final third, and he said, I think there were 7 or 8 situations when the ball is completely open to play through and we were attacking the keeper and we gave that ball away and then it becomes a basketball game. And again, a basketball game against a team that is extremely good at finishing actions with the quality that they have. That's a very difficult thing to do. That's why I talk about the reaction to that, because if you don't react in relation to that mistake quick enough, sharp enough, you have a big problem. And he's right. The 6 or 7, 8 situations that they had, you just got to take advantage of that. You've got to be better. And Arsenal have got to work out a way when they do play that sort of transition style of game, which we just don't see from them very often. They've got to find a way of being a lot more ruthless and take advantage of that and stretch the play a little bit more, drag the defenders who are there a little bit further out of position, because it was just all too narrow. The chances in those first half when Odegaard goes through, when Martinelli goes through, and then you just sort of get your head up and everyone's squeezed into a really tight bit of space. Got to stretch that play. Got to find a way of doing it. I'm sure, it's a learning process. It's a working process. Arsenal have only been doing it for a while, a few weeks in pre-season with Gyökeres there trying to play that way. I'm sure it will get better. And these players, Gyökeres can play that way. We know he can. That's how he had so much success playing in Portugal. And it's just a way of everyone else around him making sure he has the space to run into and to create that space and be as clinical as possible when you do play in that transition. I'm not expecting it to happen every single game. This isn't the end of Arsenal being that possession-based team. But in certain game scenarios, like we saw yesterday, you've got to get better at that. I can't imagine against Leeds next weekend it's going to be anything like what we saw at Old Trafford. It's going to be more classic Arsenal, I imagine, against Leeds at the Emirates. Sorry, my throat's a bit bad. Too much shouting at the TV screen yesterday. But yeah, Leeds are going to come. You can't imagine Leeds are going to really look to really stretch to play at the Emirates next weekend. So it's going to be a very different sort of game. And we'll wait to see how that unfolds. But that's what Mikel had to say after the game. I was very interested by Amorim, and Bruno Fernandes was moaning about it as well. And I just don't see how that's a foul for the goal. It's just really, really weak goalkeeping. There's no real shove there from Saliba or anything. That is just standing his ground. It's just really weak goalkeeping. If David Raya was in that situation, he would have cleaned everyone out, punched the ball, taken charge of the situation. It's just weak goalkeeping. It's deflection tactic from Ruben Amorim in my mind. Yes, United played okay, but there seems to be this. I don't know what it is. I think people in this country, and certainly the media in this country, want United to be back where they're deemed that they should be. And there was probably encouraging signs there for United yesterday. But it almost feels like Arsenal have annoyed everyone by going there and winning yesterday. Everyone seemed to want a Man United to win, to have this new narrative of United are back. All this money spent on the strike force. Look, they're scoring goals. They're back. They're going to be a team to really be taken seriously this season. And I really do feel, watching the reaction, listening to the reaction, reading the reaction to the game, that everyone's just like, Arsenal spoiled the party here. And it just makes me laugh. Really, it does. It just makes me laugh on it. It's a great result. It's a really good result. Not a great performance, but it's a really good result, and it's something for Arsenal to build on. In a weekend when City have won, Liverpool have won, Spurs have won, Arsenal just had to go and get up and running as quickly as possible and to win the game. And they did that. They did exactly what they had to do. United supposedly played really, really well. Arsenal supposedly played really, really poorly. But who won? Who kept a clean sheet? Who didn't score? So, job done. Move on to Leeds next weekend. Right, let's bring up what some of you guys have had to say on the game. Laricon says, hi, Charles. Love your content. Always look forward to it. Thank you very much. My thoughts on today's match was, yes, we played well below our best, but we have finally learned how to win when we played badly. We have usually got 3 points when we played well, but rarely won after playing badly. Obviously, I prefer to play brilliant and get a comfortable win, but 3 points at Old Trafford is always welcome. You're absolutely right. The Limey says, I've been at Old Trafford where we've played them off the park and still lost. A poor performance as we looked undercooked, but very happy to take the 3 points and get out of Dodge. Pep says, glad for the result, proud of gritty win. Sorry, Charles, you're not allowed at Old Trafford when Arsenal play there ever. Thank you in advance. That's Philip from Houston in Texas. Yes, another game. I think Arsenal's all 3 wins at Old Trafford in the last 15 years, 20 years, whatever it is in the league, have been like pretty much the 3 times that I haven't gone. Every other time I've gone and Arsenal have lost or drawn. And all 3, I've missed all 3 that we've won, including yesterday. Jon says, hi, Charles. I think giving Odegaard a 7 rating is very kind of you. He was very sloppy, kept giving the ball away, and he couldn't transition, which is the problem Arsenal have with Odegaard. I think signing the 10 is more important than a winger. I'm going to get to my player ratings in a little bit. A few more here from the Patreon message board. Says Triple G Goon, a rubbish game, lots of work needed, but 3 points at Old Trafford is a great start. Is that 30? Says Saka and Rice didn't have their best game, but 3 points at the bogey team. I'll take it. Empire says not a great performance, but it was a tough opening fixture for us, so we'll 100% take the win. Yawn says in transition we need to attack wider, so Odegaard has more angles to create passes. Spot on, absolutely spot on. A wider attacking runs also divides the opponent's defence too. The runs were all too tight. You're absolutely right there. Arsenal needs to practice the running lines in transition. Josh says, disappointing performance, fantastic result. We move on. Right, these are my player ratings then. So I have changed these a little bit. I'm just looking at that. I haven't actually changed what I wanted to change yet. I initially gave Saliba an 8. I actually gave him man of the match. But I sort of watched it back again last night when I got home, and I put the kids to bed. I had it on TV and I was watching it, and I've changed my mind on that. So although Saliba's an 8 on the screen there, I've actually given him a 7. I don't know why I've kept him on as an 8. And I actually thought Gabriel and Calafiori were better than him. So I gave him an 8. So I gave Raya an 8, White a 7, Saliba I've given a 7. Gabriel and Calafiori I gave an 8 too. Zubamendi I gave a 6. Odegaard I gave a 7. Rice I gave a 5. Saka I've also dropped down to a 5. I don't know what I've done here because I should have changed these numbers. Saka I also dropped down to a 5. Gyökeres and Martinelli I also gave a 5. I don't see why. Yesterday I gave Saka a 6. And I was like, why did I give Saka a 6 really? Because I don't think he did anything particularly better than Martinelli or Gyökeres did. So I think the whole 3 forwards I've given a 5. Now, so on Odegaard, so someone, who was it? Let me just flick back here. Jon's block says thinks I was being very kind to give Odegaard a 7. See, I'm not sure. Now, I saw Odegaard coming in for the criticism, and I agree. The moments in transition in the first half he should have done better with, no doubt about it. I don't think he was helped by the runs that were being made by those around him, to be honest, either. But I just think Odegaard, he was the one player who was looking to make things happen yesterday in an attacking sense. I think he was getting away from players. His work ethic was unbelievable. You look at his running stats after the game were just off the charts. And I just thought he was the one player who was really looking to make something happen, look like he might make something happen. I thought he was by far the best of the 3 midfielders. Rice I thought had a poor game. Zubamendi passed him by a little bit. I don't think the sort of basketball style nature of the game suited Zubamendi very much. And I thought out of the 3, Odegaard was comfortably the best of the 3 midfielders. And I just thought he deserved a 7. I really did. Was he great? No. Was he poor? No. So I just thought a 7 was a good mark for him. But yeah, I think I give Gabriel and Calafiori sort of. I can't really work out who I'd give man of the match to in that. I really did like Calafiori's performance in it. Again, I was watching some sort of analysis of him yesterday and looking at his sort of the touches that he made in the game and some of the passes that he made. And he's just such an interesting player, Calafiori. I'm really looking forward. If he can stay fit, and I know it's a big if, we always have to say that, but if he can stay fit, I think he's going to offer so much to this Arsenal team this season, and that strength in depth that we have at fullback situations. White and Timber on the right hand side. I thought Timber was brilliant when he came on yesterday. Calafiori and Miles Lewis-Skelly on the left. That strength in depth at fullback and the ability to be able to change games and completely change the way your fullbacks play, especially on the left hand side. Calafiori and Miles Lewis-Skelly, I think, offer things that are very, very different to each other when they play. I think it's a really interesting aspect of how Arsenal are going to perform this season. So, those are my run through the player ratings yesterday. So I gave Raya an 8, White and Saliba 7s, Gabriel Calafiori 8, Zubamendi 6, Odegaard 7, Rice 5, Saka 5, Gyökeres 5, Martinelli 5. On Gyökeres, he's got a fair bit of grief I've seen from his performance. The classic social media memes have been going around, all that sort of stuff. Was it a good performance from him? Was he involved in the game? No, I think he didn't have a shot. It's the first time in an opening day of the season he hasn't had a shot on goal in the last 5 years. I think he only completed 4 passes in a game. It was a struggle for him. Absolutely, it was a struggle for him. Does that mean he's going to be a flop? Absolutely not. It's just rubbish, the stuff you see on social media. It really, really is. And so ignore it. Absolutely ignore it. And I'm really looking forward to seeing Victor Gyökeres play against Leeds next weekend at the Emirates, when I'm convinced we're going to see a much better performance from him, from the team, and absolutely everyone next week. Right, a few more questions before we wrap this one up. Owen has got in touch on the Inside Arsenal Discord message board, which you get access to if you're a Patreon member, which you can sign up for down below the description. The link is in the description. Copy and paste that into your browser. Join the growing community we've got over on Patreon. But do it through patreon.com. Don't do it through Apple because you get surcharged. Don't want to do that. Owen says, morning, Charles. After yesterday's result, what things would you change? I'm glad we got the win, but it wasn't the brightest of performances. I really thought Odegaard played well, though. Yes, I agree with you on Odegaard. What would I change? I don't think I would change much, to be honest. I just think it wasn't a good performance. I don't think you have to make massive changes. This is a team that we saw play really, really well 7 days before, score 3 really good goals. So I just don't think you have to change too much. I have to say, for the Leeds game, I think there's 7 days. There's no midweek game. There's no midweek game afterwards. So I don't really think you need to change. I just think Arsenal need to be more clinical in the situations they find themselves in. And I also think this is going to be a completely different game next weekend to the one we saw at United. So I wouldn't change much, I really wouldn't. In fact, I play the same team as he did yesterday. Daniel says, "Morning, Charles. Obviously, it was a great result, but as we all know, the performance left a lot to be desired. Do you think that's because of adapting to the system to fit new players, perhaps a lack of fitness after pre-season, or anything else? Regardless, I'm looking forward to Leeds game, and I'm confident we'll see a better display." What do I put it down to? I don't. What do I put it down to? I don't know. Sometimes you just don't play very well. You have some of those games. I did think they looked a little bit tired. Like Declan Rice in the second half was really blowing. He went off. He was limping a bit when he went off, Declan Rice. I don't know if he was struggling with something, but I wasn't sure they looked really at peak fitness yet. So I don't know if that was anything to do with it. I don't think so, because I thought they were worse in the first half than they were in the second, and you'd think their fitness levels are going to be much better in the first half than it was in the second. So I just think they struggled. And I think they didn't take advantage of the situations they found themselves in. They're still adjusting to that way of playing. So I think there's a few things there. But ultimately, I just think it was a bad day at the office performance-wise. I'm not sure I really put it down to much more than that. And we've got one from Pat here. He's got in touch and says, maybe a question for tomorrow's show. Great result in winning ugly. No Trossard, though, came on, surprising with Martinelli and Madueke getting minutes. I'm not overly surprised, I have to say. I still think there's a chance in the next couple of weeks that Trossard could potentially go. I don't think Arsenal are shoving him out the door by any means, but I wouldn't be surprised until, we saw no Kivior yesterday, for example, wasn't even in the squad again. I think there's a chance that something might happen with him between now and the end of the transfer window. So, and I think Madueke is probably going to be ahead of Trossard in the pecking order this season. So I'm not overly shocked, I have to say, from yesterday. I just think that's where Trossard is in the pecking order right now. And I also think it's probably linked a little bit to the fact that the transfer window is still open and there is a chance that something could happen with him between now and then. And that's it for me today, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for listening. Appreciate it as always. I'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again. Anything you want me to discuss in the show, let me know in the comments below with a question, with a comment, and I'll pull some of them together as always and get them included tomorrow. Until then, have a great start to your week, everyone. Arsenal are up and running. 3 points in the bag. 1-0 to the Arsenal. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.